Welcome to LOT, Lane Optimization Tool Proof of Concept Demonstration. LOT is used by a logistics company that has trucks delivering across the country. The trucks follow predefined paths between origin and destination cities. These pathways are called lanes. This tool takes data from the company, analyzes it, and generates a set of statistics displayed in the form of graphs, tables, and charts that a manager can use to identify trends or problem areas and look at greater depth per lane. We start by setting parameters. Pieces per truck and minimum number of trucks per period are set by the company to establish the optimal values for each statistic. These can be changed by the user for a variety of reasons. Restored defaults is available if you drift too far off, and we're just going to leave them where they are for today. Before we import our data, we're going to look at the data we have. The dataset summary has a starting period of 1501 and an ending period of 1503. Periods are defined as 2 weeks of time. So 15-01 is 2015's first 2 weeks. 1503 is the 5th and 6th week of 2015. We also have the total pieces, trucks, and costs for the entire data set. And we have the averages. Averages of pieces per period, trucks per period, pieces per truck, and cost per piece for our entire data set. As we import a slightly larger data set, we'll see all those values change. We're going to select Base Data Set 4. Always read your caveats, though we did just go past it. And it is an artifact of Excel that occasionally you'll see your display hiccup while it's running. This is not to worry about. The process is running fine. The process takes anywhere from 30 seconds to 3 or 4 minutes, depending upon the size of the set you're importing, the capabilities of your machine, and the load placed upon it. When it's done, the spinning circle goes away, the import box goes away, and our tables and graphs zero out, as you can see. Once the data is imported, we run our analysis. This does not take long. And then while the temptation is to proceed to number 4 and simply select our data, we're actually going to jump a little bit to the right and look at our network statistics first. We start by selecting a report. We have 3. Pieces per truck, cost per period, and trucks per period. Cost per piece. If we look at the cost per piece graph, we can hover over it to get detailed information. So in period 1421, it cost $12.51 to ship a piece. If we go to 1503, it was $11.30. Cost per piece and pieces per truck are average per period. Trucks per period is the total number of trucks within that period. It is a summation. Here we have a trend line that shows a clear trend declining over this set of periods. A savvy manager might look at this and want to know what's going on. An experienced manager will look at this and go, well, that's the pre-holiday period, followed by the holidays, followed by the post-holiday slump, and not be alarmed. In addition, we have a set of bottom 5 statistics for the report that we've selected. Here we have the bottom 5 lanes for the trucks per period report. We have Ohio to Boston and Los Angeles to San Francisco leading the way at 18. This delta is the difference between the actual number of trucks used and the optimal number of trucks that should have been used. The order of 2 identical deltas is arbitrary. We might at other times have seen Los Angeles come first. Fortunately for our purposes, this doesn't really matter. But let's say the manager looks at that Ohio to Boston range and wants to take a better look at it. We go back up to the select lane period, pull down box, and here we find all of our lanes listed, everything that exists within the data set. We will go to Ohio to Boston, select it, and now you'll see that our table has populated, as have all of our graphs. Starting with this first table, we have the active lane of OHX to BOS, which is the Columbus crossdock to Boston, Massachusetts. There are 6 lane averages provided. Again, this is for this one lane only now. We have pieces per truck, pieces per period, expense per piece, trucks per period, expenses per period, total expenses. Actual, optimal, and delta calculations are made. You'll note there is no optimal value for pieces per period. That's because there is no value for pieces per period. As such, there's only one graph given for this particular statistic. Those are the actual pieces shipped for this lane over those periods. If we go down a little further, we will find that we have actual pieces per truck versus optimal pieces per truck. We can clearly see that we are not shipping as many pieces as we think we should be. That may be a point that the manager wants to explore. We go on a little further, we can see actual expenses per piece versus optimal expenses per piece. We're spending more money than we should. And then suddenly find in period 1423 an anomaly, something that is much higher than what you would expect. It has an actual value of 10 trucks in that period, when the optimal expectations would have been only 6. This is a 2/3 increase and may be something that the manager wants to actively explore. In addition to the graphs, there is a tabular representation of the data for those who prefer this kind of format. It's not as easy to see trends, but it is certainly easier to see absolute values instead of having to hover. Going back to, well, we don't want to format the cell. If I could hit the right button. Going back to the top of our tool, we have two boxes we have not yet explored. We have help. Self-explanatory, I hope. It displays the function of each button and what you can do with it. And then developer tools. Developer tools will only exist during proof of concept. Once development is over, it will be removed. But for the moment, it is convenient to be able to do things like toggle hidden sheets. This shows us the sheets that exist in the background that are used to establish the tables and charts that we're dealing with. But certainly it's information that the average user should never see and in production will not. So we've seen our tool. We've shown how it can be used to identify trends, problem areas, and even anomalous statistics. And this is used by managers within the logistics company to hopefully solve problems. Thank you.